I love today's question. The question is how to find non-traditional positions for folks who can't meet physical demands of field work but still want to be in the field, or how to make yourself more hireable as a chronically ill person. And I love this question because I was diagnosed as having an underactive thyroid when I think I was like 16, 17. And for those of you guys who don't know, your thyroid affects everything. Your thyroid regulates your metabolism. So if you have an underactive thyroid, it means that everything is just like slower in you. And it's really common to suffer from fatigue. And then years later, I found out that I had Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disorder when your body attacks your thyroid. So I have to take medication for the rest of my life. I've always struggled with fatigue. In fact, I can remember doing this Mount Kenya expedition and like being the slowest person. It was tough being in positions sometimes where I felt like I couldn't keep up compared to other people. So here is my advice. Well, first of all, your question asks, for folks who can't meet physical demands of field work but still want to be in the field. And I would ask, what do you mean by still be in the field? Do you mean by actually be in the field, like be physically outside in an outdoor setting in wildlife work? Or do you mean in the realm of wildlife work? Like, does it matter that you're actually physically present in the field or not? But I can still cover both of those answers. So in the wildlife work field, it's actually easy to be in our field without going outdoors. Actually, the more advanced you become in your career, the more you are indoors. A lot of the entry-level jobs are those that are outdoors doing data collection and stuff like that. But as you advance, as you learn how to write grants, manage teams, manage projects, write papers, actually do the data analysis, then more and more of your time is spent indoors. In fact, if you get a PhD, you're going to spend a lot of time indoors in most jobs afterwards because you're going to be doing things like writing publications and writing grants to get money for your next project. But I understand if you're starting out, it might be hard to find jobs like that. So think about what jobs you can do that are not in the field. And with technology affecting our field so much, I go into this deep in the Successful Wildlife Professional about how our field has changed so much because of technology. Just because of this, more people are not going in the field. Whereas when we didn't have camera traps or we didn't have satellite telemetry, people would be in the field watching animals, conducting behavioral observations. But now with technology, we set up camera traps and we let them collect data for us. So think about jobs where you can do data analysis that don't require you to go to the field. So like camera trap work is great for that. Really getting into the data analysis side of things. I have a blog post about learning statistics, science writing. There are so many jobs in science communication, in science, like social media and things like that. Policy, those don't require field work. It's really important to know the jobs. And there's 6 job types in workplaces. And I'm doing a free training that will address those briefly. I also talk about these in my book, and we go into depth in these in the Successful Wildlife Professional. But there are tons of career options out there for you that don't require field work. And honestly, like I said, kind of nowadays, it's actually rarer to find jobs where you're going to be in the field a lot of time, which I know is crazy because a lot of us go into this field because we want to be outdoors. So use the job tracker. That's your North Star. It's free spreadsheet I have for you guys to understand the job. Learn about the jobs through my book, through Successful Wildlife Professional. Like I said, we spend weeks going over the different jobs and the job types and workplaces because the positions vary so much depending not only on your type of job, but also where you work. Okay, so say maybe you do want to be in the field though. Maybe you do want to be outdoors. Think about jobs where it's actually dangerous to be outside. This is one way to think about it. Or be creative. Just like look at the jobs out there using the job tracker and think about what it would like to be in the field. So when I say dangerous, A lot of my experience is in Africa, especially in Kenya. And in Kenya, you actually really don't do a lot of on the ground work if you're studying mammals, if you're studying other animals. But even so, it's dangerous because there's literally like lions and stuff walking around. So you need rangers to protect you. But really, a lot of the work is done in vehicles. So, and in Gabon, where I did my PhD research, it was also an expensive country, honestly. So not only was I in vehicles a lot to cover the width of the park because I was studying elephants and we wanted to get more elephant observations. So we drove around a lot of the park to identify elephants and find groups. But also it was expensive to pay for field assistance, to pay for gas. So I was limited by how much time I could spend in the field by my budget. So the point is, this is not exhaustive of all the jobs out there, but there are jobs out there like that. Think about jobs maybe where you don't have to move a lot. Like maybe there are waterfowl jobs where you are at a wetland area and you're stationary for a while and you don't have those long field days. Explore the different jobs using the job tracker, but there are jobs out there for people who cannot do the physical demands of the field. And then just also thinking about, since COVID happened, COVID I know was awful, but one good thing that did come out of COVID is that a lot more positions have become remote or remote hybrid. Again, this is maybe not necessarily in the field in terms of being outside, but in our field, in the wildlife field, it's great for people who are chronically ill or who struggle with fatigue, because as a remote worker, usually you get to create your own schedule. Yes, you might have meetings and things like that, but you can lay down in the middle of the day if you need to take a nap. And one other thing I want to add to this question is that they were worried about this being too niche. No, I hear this a lot. I hear a lot of people struggle with this problem. So you're definitely not alone in thinking this. So just really think about like outside the box, more in data analysis, more in writing. You really don't have to be like hardcore outdoors to be in this field. And a lot of my jobs actually were not even really super easy, to tell you the truth. When, my internships, like when I worked at Disney's Animal Kingdom, I was indoors a lot of the time. I worked at a lab. I was doing endocrine research. So think about like all the different possibilities out there and explore the resources that I have to learn about them. And then I also want you to think about like your why. Why do you want to be in this field? If it is because you want to be outside, that's really important then obviously you're not going to be satisfied finding a job where you're writing or doing data analysis and things like that. But if your mission and purpose is to help animals, to conserve wildlife, there are so many jobs that are not outdoors, and really the solution to conservation is human driven. So it might even be that you do research in social science where you conduct surveys of people. I told you guys that I studied forest elephants. Forest elephants are being decimated because of poaching. So really the solution for forest elephant conservation is getting at the poaching problem, whether that is from the demand side, whether that is government, economic, and all of those are social science solutions. And one of the best ways to study that is through using surveys, through studying social media patterns, through studying other data out there. Again, you don't have to be in the field. There's so many options for you guys. So thank you so much for that question. I love hearing from you guys. I do my best to address all of the comments and messages, and even if I don't get to them right away, I do read them. So keep them coming.